My name is Julia Ratafrata, and I am the new elected mayor for the city of Fitchburg. This is my first ribbon cutting, I am, by training, I am an accountant and I deal with business all the time, so I am very happy to introduce a new business that is coming to Fitchburg. Thank you for choosing Fitchburg. So we want to welcome here. We are a very friendly community, so in name of the city of Fitchburg and the Fitchburg Chamber, we want to say welcome. So now I want to introduce Monica. She's the owner of ActionCOACH. Thank you.
Thank you. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. I've put a lot of planning in, so I'm going to pull out my notes. I want to thank the Fitchburg community for just welcoming us and having us part of it. One of my favorite things about Fitchburg is actually Julia's idea of achieving its full potential. So excited to be part of that. Tonight, I would be remiss if I didn't introduce my husband. I don't know where he's at.
I'm over here.
Okay, thanks. And two of our three children are here, Caitlin and Zach. And Calvin will be popping in. He has hair like mine, so you'll be able to recognize him when he gets here.
He's a little taller, too.
And he's a little taller, yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to share a little bit about our story for a few minutes. I wouldn't be here if I didn't really reflect on what I wanted out of life and what life has given me. And one of the things that's been really fun to reflect on is that I was born into a family that were farmers. And it's been really fun to think about my grandfather, who had an 80-acre farm, and he always saw himself small. However, I was the little girl watching him. We had to be quiet while the farm report was on so he could see what the crops were priced at. We went to mills, we went to the tobacco warehouses. We had to plan that entire tobacco season, and I always loved, being the boss out in the field and putting everything together. His payroll was done in a tree-lay little book. Does anybody remember the tree-lay books that went into pockets? That was his payroll, and that's where we would pay out of. And then the other thing about my grandfather is he would take over the living room from January till April for his taxes. And he had stacks and stacks of papers, and we were to not mess them up for 4 months. So I learned a lot from him. I would also want to give a shout out to my parents. They are the spark to my fire, and one of the things they did when I was a teenager is started their own business, and I saw how courageous they were being, and I'm happy to report they now have the family farm as well. So thank you, Mom. Want to talk about my career just a little bit. It's almost 20 years ago was the first time that I was introduced to ActionCOACH, and it was from Ian McFarlane. Is he here yet? I'm not sure if he made it in yet. But I was at Capital Newspapers, and this person that I was in awe of came in, and he had all these solutions. He had this toolbox. He wanted to not just help us, but he wanted to help our clients. And I remember looking and being like, that's what I want to do with my career, right? And I was way at my early career, and I thought I have a lot of work to do to get there. And little does Ian know, I became his little protege, and I wanted to be like him. And so I want to say, unknowingly, he inspired me as well on this journey. So I chased career accomplishments and achievements for 20 years. And I will never regret that chase. I had a lot of success. I worked in a few different industries, and I worked across the whole United States. I worked with teams, sales teams. I worked with business development. I worked with program development, a lot of focus on revenue. And I also worked on creating cultures that team members wanted to stay. Through that, I had a pinnacle point in my career in 2019. Specifically, just to share with you, it was November that I was awarded CEO of Select Specialty Hospital in Madison. So if you did the math, little did I know that 2 months later, we would be in the biggest storm that healthcare had experienced in recent history. And I became the captain of a ship through COVID-19. That lasted about 2.5 years, and I'm proud to say that our ship sailed. Not only did we sail, we excelled, and 2.5 years later, while the storm was calming, professionally, I will tell you personally, there was a storm brewing. And I felt very alone, and I had to take a step back and start to be really honest with myself about what I was prioritizing, and I had prioritized my career till that point. And then the reality kicked in that our kids were getting older, and I had missed out on a lot. So, not gonna stay there long. I said I gotta do something about this. Started doing some soul searching, met with coaches, met with mentors, and the first thing was to learn about what my strengths were, how I work, and my values, and then the journey started. For me to recognize that my dream of being a CEO of a hospital and climbing a corporate ladder was finished. I blossomed. I learned a lot. I had a big toolbox to take, and what was next? So my husband, being a business owner, and many of you in this room whispered in my ear, what can you do? Go do something on your own. What can you start? So I was thinking, what's the need that needs to be filled? I want to fill a need. Because what I learned about myself is I'm always looking for better ways, and I'm also always looking for clarity and being a contributor. So when I thought about what's the need, I knew firsthand that business owners and leaders should never feel the way that I have felt. I would say to you tonight, one thing I've thought of a lot was, do people remember we're human? So I thought about the aloneness of being a business owner and leader and how it would feel just to have someone in your corner. I thought about the idea of feeling overwhelmed with all the hats and someone who could say, let's just take some time and create a focus. I thought about always expecting to do more and more and more, but not having a solid strategy. And so you're just constantly on a treadmill with no path. So we started to explore what were the options, what was this gonna look like, and as I mentioned, I'm an achievement junkie, right? So I wanted to do something the best. And I started to explore the many different options that were available, and Action Coach 20 years later circled back around. So I did 9 months of due diligence with the Go Big region. Craig Hohenberger is here. I'm sorry, these lights are in my eyes. So there he is. Thank you, Craig. And this just felt like an immediate family. They started to teach me about Action Coach. I was introduced to over 20 partners. I got to interview clients. Mike and Susan had lunches with me, and it was just an incredible alignment with my mission and vision, or their vision, and mission and culture, and really meeting the great people, as I always put people first, and knowing that they had solid systems we could work with, and a proven track record of truly being contributors in the world and changing lives. So here we are, Chisel ActionCOACH. Thank you, Julia. And I want to say, why Chisel? It's a tool that creates masterpieces, and that's what we're going to do with businesses. And I just want to share, I would not go alone. So the 4 over here are people who believe. Oh, I guess Eli went over there. Hi, Eli. Thank you. I just want to share, I can't go alone. So I have a team behind me that I want to say, Eli is over behind. His mom also owns this establishment. And Jasmine and Jennifer, and then my mom is Linda. And just to let you know, she's getting paid in a trip once in a while. She is a volunteer. So I couldn't imagine all of the support from this team, all of the support from the Big Action Coach team, all the support from the Go Big region. And I just am so excited tonight to say, Craig will share some more information about Action Coach globally. You're still going to hear from 2 more clients, which just is exceptional. And then we will be sharing with you kind of how you can best support us, as well as the impact plan for Chisel ActionCOACH. So let's get the ribbon cutting going and make this real. 3, 2, 1.